The final Thanksgiving game is going to be Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers flying up to Seattle, take on Geno Smith and the Seahawks here. Should be a really good game, especially I'm just being completely honest, the other two Thanksgiving games I don't project are going to be that great. Anything can happen. That's why you play the game. But this one, though, loss on the line, the division game that he had. These two teams played 3 times last year, all pretty competitive games. Also highly impactful games just on the overall outcome of the season. This one pans out to be no different. So both teams are a little banged up coming into this game. So I think it'll be interesting to kind of see how both teams are able to play and just the overall impact of each injuries. But I want to throw it over to you here first, Ryan. The 49ers flying up, finally getting a confident win the past couple of weeks as they dominated the Jags and then they dominated the Buccaneers as well. What are your overall thoughts on this game? And then Seattle coming off a tough loss against the Rams again, shockingly at home. Just what are your overall thoughts on both these teams so far through the season, and just some things to kind of look forward or like to look out for over these next couple of weeks as they're both trying to make the playoffs?
So the Seahawks, not only was it, I think, a little bit of a demoralizing loss, but Geno Smith and Kenneth Walker also got hurt. Geno Smith did return, but there are reports that this injury could potentially affect his status for Thursday's game. So that would be interesting that's an interesting situation to monitor. But the Seahawks have such a tough schedule coming up. I believe they have the 49ers, Cowboys, 49ers again, and then the Eagles as their next 4 games. They're 6-4 right now, so they're going to have to eke out a couple of these games. But looking at what the 49ers just did the last couple of weeks, Brock Purdy, perfect QBR this past week, and it's kind of crazy to think about how good he is when Trent Williams, Deebo Samuel, and Christian McCaffrey are all back in the lineup. And so that to me, I think that offense is back. They just got really injured for a small portion of the season, and they got lucky that none of them were major. The Seahawks, I don't think have any major injuries, but Kenneth Walker is most likely out. Jamal Adams has been inactive. And then again, that injury with Geno Smith. And I just don't think that they really have the depth to kind of power through some of those injuries. But, I just think they're not quite elite enough to compete with some of these, like, true Super Bowl teams.
Yeah. Well, and that's especially, too, last year. I think they came on so strong, and they're playing good football. But this year definitely does seem different. They're not able to run the ball really effectively, and I think they haven't even cracked 1,000 yards yet as a team when it comes to rushing yards. Kenneth Walker is going to be most likely out. We're running this as of Monday, but he had an oblique strain. Pete Carroll said that it was a legit oblique strain, and typically I was reading up most of those injuries tend to last 1 to 2 weeks, where they're out. Probably leaning, seems like now towards the 2-week mark. And so, but that being said, though, they do have Zach Charbonnet, who actually has been now the rookie running back at UCLA that they drafted. He started his snap counts have been increasing over the past month or so, and he's actually been matching up with Kenneth Walker in several of these games. I don't think it should be too big of a drop off. Biggest thing, though, is still just going to be their offensive line. It's just how are they going to be able to?
They are. I think they're missing both of their tackles still. I think Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas are.
Charles Cross is in the starting lineup now, according to our lads. But Abraham Lucas, let me double check here. DFR. What does DFR mean? DFR.
Doubtful?
Oh, yeah, designated for return in week 11.
Okay.
So, but that was last week. So, need to go back and double check on just that overall status. But in general, though, when the Seahawks, I don't know about you.
He did not play.
Oh, sorry. I don't know about you overall just as the Seahawks team and having a weaker offensive line or an injured offensive line is definitely going to affect overall play. But they just haven't they have been banged up with injuries. I know DK Metcalf has seemed like he's been banged up a little bit. It seems like all of the key position players have just been banged up overall. they have just struggled, it seems, in comparison to last year. Like they're still well within the playoff hunt. They absolutely can still make the playoffs in a wild card spot. But I do think they can still win the division as well. But just the overall vibe, maybe the expectations got set really high last year. But I don't know about you. The vibe for the Seahawks just seems a little more negative than positive at this point than it was last year.
Yeah, they haven't been. And granted, they were kind of like the darlings last year because everyone thought they would be really bad. Then Geno Smith was kind of this like comeback story that everybody really loved. But yeah, they haven't been that like truly formidable opponent that they were last year. They still have all the weapons. I think the secondary is really good. I just think they lack the potency that they had last year. One of the things too could be that I think they might have had a little bit of an element of surprise last year, especially for the first half of the season, where everyone was kind of like, "Well, Geno Smith had a couple good games, but like it'll fall off," and then they ended up making a playoff run. So yeah, it seems a little bit different, but yeah, we'll just kind of have to see how it plays out through the second half of the year because they still have 8 games to go, and the next 4 are really tough. So let's go ahead and get into our predictions. But before we do that, if you guys have not already, Tyler and I are trying to hit 2,100 subscribers before Thanksgiving. So if you could help us reach that goal, that'd be very much appreciated. Subscribing and hitting the like button is the best way to help out the channel, and you'll get notified when we create new content. And Tyler, with that being said, I'm going to throw it over to you. I think I already know your pick, but let's see who you're going to go with.
Yeah, so you mentioned earlier with Brock Purdy, just his overall performance as well. And that's why I think one concern for the 49ers is just their depth from their top positional players. That being said, their top positional players are the top positional players at the relative position in the league. McCaffrey is the best running back in the league. Trevor Williams is the best left tackle in the league. Deebo Samuel is the best gadget receiver player. He just fits perfectly with
He's one of the best football players in the league.
I think that's a great way to say it.
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk has really come on strong. George Kittle is top 3 tight end in the league. I mean, Travis Kelce's number 1, and then now Mark Andrews is out. So you can honestly now say Kittle's probably number 2.
I love George Kittle.
Yeah,
top 5 personality in the NFL too.
Absolutely, I agree with that completely. So I just look at that, and I think the Seahawks are taking steps in the right direction. But where they really struggle is going to be on that offensive line, even when healthy. And so, even if Abraham Lucas does return this week, and then with Charles Cross, so that's an area that they really need to work on, especially on the interior side. Actually, I think tackle wise, I like those two pieces, but interiorly, I think they need to improve a little bit in that area. But just in general, I think the 49ers are just a better team. I just think when you put all those pieces together, I know it's just 4 or 5 guys, and when those guys went out, you saw the clear drop off in overall team performance and Brock Purdy's team performance as well. But they should be playing, and so I think the 49ers are going to come in and just as they did last year against the Seattle in all 3 games, just slowly just grind them out. They're just going to – I think Seahawks might be able to keep pace for a little bit, and then they're going to falter. And that's when the 49ers are going to just pull ahead. They're going to win by like 10 points here. I'm going to say like 31-21.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a good prediction. My biggest thing is I think you look at Chase Young, Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave. Those 3 guys are elite pass rushers at their position. I know Chase Young, I think, might be on like the cusp of that. But if you look at it from a physical tools standpoint, I mean, the guy was the number 1 overall pick. And his career has been hindered mostly by injuries, not for performance or anything like that. So that to me is just they're the 3-man wrecking crew up front. And if this offense can continue to play at the clip that they were last week, nobody's beating this team. And so it's going to be really interesting to watch this 49ers team develop. I'm going with the 49ers in this matchup. I think that they match up tremendously well against the Seahawks, which is good for the 49ers as that's a division opponent. But I think I don't want to predict the downfall of the Seahawks. But like I think this is kind of the beginning of the end of the Geno Smith sweetheart comeback story. I think it's had its day and it's plateauing or maybe declining a little bit. So we'll just
Well, and now that you say, like, as you mentioned, did you list off their next 4 games?
49ers, Cowboys, 49ers, Eagles.
Yeah. So, and the Cowboys game and the next Niners game is going to be
on the road.
So that is going to be, they do have a bye in between. It looks like. No, they don't.
They've already had their bye.
Oh, yeah, no, sorry. They play back-to-back Thursday games. So then the Cowboys game is going to be next Thursday as well. So
okay.
That's why I just look at the dates is weird. But, that's really tough. This is going to be all 3 of those teams are Super Bowl contenders. So be very interesting. And then even then, too, you have the Titans and the Titans are out of the playoffs. But the Steelers technically are still in the playoff hunt, which is just another playoff team. So that'll be an interesting one to watch as well.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to this matchup. This is definitely the best of the 3 Thanksgiving games. And I think it's going to be good. It's on a short week, so you never know what's going to happen. But we're both, I think, going to rock with the 49ers on this one. So let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It's the best way to support the channel. And Tyler and I are trying to hit 2,100 subscribers by Thanksgiving. So if you could help us reach that goal, that would be very much appreciated. And then go ahead and write down who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup in the comments. Is it going to be the San Francisco 49ers? Is it going to be the Seattle Seahawks? And other than that, we will see you guys next time.